going on? I hope you guys are having a good night. I wanted to come and hang out with you, and I want to say welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. Today, I'm going to cover an interesting list. I found this peculiar-looking list of the 10 majors, the 10 college majors that graduates regret the most. This is the kind of thing, the opportunity to learn why college is not always the best option for everybody, and also how college can actually fool you into destroying all your black wealth by dying in debt. So get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about black wealth and black economics every day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day under one condition. The condition is that we are black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means that we educate our kids. Black first means that we teach wealth to each other. Black first means that we are going to elevate our community by any means necessary. If you agree with this philosophy, put a B1 in the chat, put your B1. Also, let me know what city you're from. Shout out your city. What's up on Instagram? My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. And let me, as I greet you as you come in, and I ask you also to hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, hit the notification bell. So stick around to the end of the video, and I'm going to give you a stock that I like, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I like it and why I plan to buy more shares in this company. All right, so anyway, so as we jump into this conversation, there is this interesting article I found that basically talks about the most regretted college majors, the majors that people pick that they hate the most, the ones that end up leaving them with a lot of regret. And I'm gonna tell you, I've been, you guys know I taught on a lot of college campuses for a long time, and I really like articles like this because it tells you something that you should probably understand. That if you don't use college in the right way, college can be the biggest fraud that you've ever participated in. College itself is not a fraud. Education is not a fraud. Going to school is not fraudulent. It is when you go to school and you study the wrong thing and you go for the wrong reasons and you do it the wrong way, then you end up feeling like they literally just violated you and didn't even use the Vaseline. Okay, so a lot of you are college graduates in here. How many college grads we got in the building? Give me a yes in the chat if you're a college grad. And let's see here. Austin says, I'm 21. I started my own insurance business last Friday. Have 2 clients. I get to help people and help myself. People give me slack, but I don't care. Yeah, you shouldn't care, Austin, because all your friends are going to be broke and you're going to be doing good. Then they're really going to get mad at you when they see you pulling up in a sports car. So you keep on doing your thing. So here's what I want. I'm going to start just reading the list to you. So let me just read from the top. All right, so here's the list. It's on CNBC. And according to CNBC, when they did a survey, I guess they surveyed graduates. The major that people regretted the most was journalism. I'll tell you, that doesn't surprise me because I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but journalism in this country has turned into absolute crap. Has anybody noticed how the journalists, anybody remember the days where journalists used to be like unbiased and very thorough in their reporting and they would try to be objective and all that? Anybody remember those days? Am I just an old fogey? Am I an old man by saying I remember a time where journalists just wanted to give you the facts and didn't want to give you the spin and the BS and the propaganda and the nonsense? I miss those days, man. I kid you not. I really thought, I used to think it was a cardinal sin for a journalist to be biased. I used to think that that was like a rule of journalism. I had a lot of respect for that, for the commitment to accuracy and all that. Now it's crazy. Media has become a big propaganda machine. They just will, it's owned by the same people who will use literally the same headline. If they want to cancel somebody, they'll just all say the same thing, go with the same narrative. You saw it during the pandemic. I mean, during the pandemic, it got really crazy. There was no diversity of perspective. Everybody was telling you to do the same thing, and it was the wrong thing to do. I mean, it wasn't exactly the right answer, right, in terms of whether or not you should get that jab. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm not making fun of you if you did or didn't. But, I wanted to hear multiple points of view. I wanted to get the facts, and they didn't give you the facts. They gave you propaganda. So shame on you journalists who are allowing your journalistic integrity to be violated by people who have a political agenda. Number 2 is sociology. Sociology is interesting. It's kind of like social work, except it's like the study of, it's a little bit like psychology, a little bit like social work. It's like the social side of psychology, like how people behave in groups. Unfortunately, it's good for commentary or something, but I can't see a specific skill you actually have that will make you employable. And I think that's where people have the regret. It's not because sociology isn't important. It's not because sociology isn't interesting. It's just that when you ask people like, hey, do you need a sociologist to come to your house and fix your toilet? People are like, no, sociologists, they don't know how to fix anything. They can fix society or something, but that's it. Liberal arts and general studies. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory that people would regret a liberal arts general studies major because you don't have any skill. You just went to college for 4 years. And let me tell you this. I can tell you, when I was at Syracuse University on the faculty, I remember arguing with the football coach because I said, why in the world do you have so many of your players majoring in stupid stuff like general studies? You know, my friend went to Vanderbilt. He said, you would have thought we were all going to become generals in the military because all of us were majoring in general studies. And the reason they have them pick those majors, and they do this to your kids, they do this to the black kids because the NCAA has been raping the black community financially for decades. Now it's a little bit better. Now they got these NIL deals and all that, which is great. I've been fighting for that for 30 years, actually. You can go back to 1995, and I was writing articles on the University of Kentucky campus explaining why I believe college athletes should be paid. This has been a consistent drumbeat that I've laid out there because it was racist that they weren't being paid. It was a violation of their educational opportunity because they couldn't actually study because they were too busy going to basketball practice or football practice. And also there was a massive financial angle that people weren't talking about, that the black community was having $1 billion a year taken away from it because they were taking your most valuable resource and not paying you. This is common. This is why your wealth has not grown very much, because they come and they take what you got and then they go and make money from you. And then you don't get any of the benefits from that. You can't keep allowing this to happen. You cannot do this. So when I used to write those articles on the University of Kentucky campus, players would sneak and come and talk to me. I had an office in the mathematics department at the University of Kentucky. And the players, one time, Derek Anderson, who played for the San Antonio Spurs, Derek Anderson was brought to my office by one of the black assistant coaches. They had to sneak that Negro into my office like he was a runaway slave. I kid you not. It was like Buckeye, like we can't let the boss know that he's talking to you, because that's gonna get him in trouble. And I'm like, why? What's the problem? Why can't one intelligent black man share information with another one? Is that some violation of the slave code? Am I a drug dealer? Am I giving him 50 kilos of crack that he's gonna go and sell? Like what's really happening here, other than the fact that I was learning at that time that an intelligent black man is the most dangerous black man in America. You know, the clowns and the coons are not dangerous. The thugs are not dangerous. They just lock the thugs up. The comedians are not dangerous. You're a joke. You're absolutely a joke. The athletes, you're not dangerous because as long as you just, remain well behaved and keep entertaining people, they're going to love you. The biggest threat in America is an intelligent black man. And I remember learning that when I was 25 years old. And I remember another basketball player named Nazir Muhammad, who was a great guy who played for the University of Kentucky. He also went to the NBA. He played a lot of years in the NBA because he's just a good person and a hard worker. And Nazi told me that the coaches on the basketball team told them that they did not want them reading my articles, that they literally did not want, they were literally blocking them from the information, saying, hey, we don't want to catch you reading what this other black man has to say. If that isn't racism, I don't know what is. That's crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. They're literally, and they still do that to this day. That's why you got these Negroes on the apology tour. You got black people apologizing for, I'm sorry I got up this morning, ball. I apologize for not apologizing enough times. I'm sorry, sir. I apologize for looking at you funny, sir. Right. And so I just will tell you, it's real basic, man. Like, you shouldn't be apologizing to people who should be apologizing to you. That doesn't make any sense. And then I hope that I don't sound too radical with this, but my Lord Jesus, man, when are we going to figure it out? So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. I have to give a shout out to the black-owned business to help to sponsor this podcast. Dr. Q's Fresh Breath Club. This brother has a black-owned business that has oral hygiene products. And I hope that you guys will go support this business. The URL's on the screen, drqsfbc.com. And he's 100% B1. I met him at the All Black National Convention, and that's his business. And so if you could support his business, I would really appreciate it. I'm going to leave it up there so you can write it down and just take a look. He's got some free trials. He's a black man trying to get his stuff off the ground. And if we go and we do a cash mob on his business, because y'all, you know, you're going to do cash mobs at Walmart. You're going to do cash mobs at Target. I know you're going to do a cash mob on Amazon. So do a cash mob on a Black-owned business. Give me a yes in the chat if you promise to go make it rain on at least a couple Black-owned businesses. You ain't got to be all Black. I understand. You go to the mall, your kids want whatever they got at the mall. I understand all of that. Just make sure that you're also supporting the Black-owned businesses. Also, make sure you're investing in yourself. Buy your kids some shares of stock. At the end of the video, I'll give you a stock that I like, that I believe is a great long-term investment for your family. But with that being said, Dr. Q's Fresh Breath Club, that's his URL right on the screen, drqsfbc.com. And if you want to ever sponsor a podcast, you can just go to drboycefinance.com. The URL's on the screen. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Now, today what we're talking about are the 10 college majors that lead to the most regret. This is important because a lot of you may have majored in one of these things, and I can actually tell you how you can kind of fix that if you want to. And then also, a lot of y'all going to have kids. I mean, how many of you got kids? How many parents are in the building? How many of you have grandkids maybe that you want to send to college? Well, this is good information for them. This is, it's each one teach one. We have to prepare them for the future so they don't make the same mistakes we did. Some of y'all are too quiet. Some of you don't want to admit to your mistakes. Some of you don't want to have those hard conversations. Some of you don't want to share information. You got to talk to young people so they'll understand, so they don't do what you did. I mean, why would you want them to repeat the same silly thing that you did 25 years ago? That's crazy. So talk to your kids, talk to your family. All right. So number 1 was journalism. Number 2 was sociology. Number 3 was liberal arts, general studies. Number 4, communications. Yes, communications, terrible major. Not a bad skill. It's important to know how to communicate. Don't get me wrong. Communications matters, but if you cannot lock that into something that becomes either employable or forms a foundation for you to start your own business, you're going to be in big trouble. Education is number 5. Education makes me sad because there's nobody on this planet more important than our educators. Like, seriously, I mean, who's more important than the teachers who are teaching your kids? Nobody. Our teachers are everything for our world and for our country. And one of the reasons I believe that the United States could be headed on a downward trend long term is because we do not invest in our kids. We do not invest in our schools. We do not invest in our educators. So I talk to a lot of educators who tell me that they got out of education because the pay was too low and the stress was too high, and the oppression was out of this world. That literally they can't go and actually teach what they want to teach the way they want to teach it. So what's my solution? One solution I believe is I think we need more Black-owned schools. You have all the tools that you need. You have more resources than you've ever had in the history of this country. You have all of the internet available to you. There are Harvard professors that have entire lectures that you can have the children watch and work with them through it. And let me tell you this, a little secret about education. This is from a guy who has way too much education. I have way too much education. Let me just tell you, the big secret with education that people don't know is that love is a really important ingredient that makes a big difference when it comes to education. If you're being educated by somebody who loves you, give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I'm saying. If you're being educated by somebody who loves you and you know that person wants what's best for you, you're going to pay more attention to that person than somebody who hates you. Give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I'm saying, if you believe this, if you've ever had that experience. When I went to the public schools, I didn't feel like anybody cared about me. I didn't feel like they liked me. I felt like they were putting me in detention every other day. So I acted out. I didn't care. I didn't pay attention. I didn't listen. I didn't want to be a part of whatever they were doing. It was stupid to me. But if I had been around some Black people, like some really wonderful, like Black auntie types, they just really loved me, wanted to see me do well and cheer for me. And I was around some strong Black men who said, "Come on, Boyce, you can do it. Let's do better. Come on, Boyce. Come on." I would have soared like an eagle. I absolutely failed almost every single class I ever took in school. I mean, not failed everything, but literally I did not make one single A ever in all the school. I started making A's in college because I had a baby and I knew I needed to work harder if I wanted to be able to feed my baby. So that's what motivated me to do well in school. That's when I surprised myself. I was like, wow, I didn't know I was that smart. So I actually, all through college, I did very well. I was the number 1 ranked Black student on the entire campus, literally because they ranked us by GPA. But before that, I never did well in school because school was like a prison, right? Nobody wants to learn in a penitentiary. So a lot of your schools are basically prisons on training wheels. They are terrible places for children to go. And ultimately, my dream, any Black celebrities listening, any Black ballers out here, any of these dumbass rappers running around bragging about how much money you got, or any of these basketball players doing $100 million deals with white people, go find a way to raise $100 million so we can build some Black-owned schools. call me. I will teach you how to do it in a way that is profitable. I will be honest. I tried to explain it to Kanye West. I don't know if he gets it. Kanye's on his own planet. Unfortunately, Kanye needs to get his nose out of his own butt in order to understand that there's something bigger and more important than him. No disrespect, but I'm sorry, I don't get with the whole like I'm the greatest whatever thing in the world. That doesn't impress me. No, you're not. You're not bigger than the community. So just please stop that. So at the end of the day, I talked to some of these guys. I've tried to explain the vision, but the bottom line is this: look, you can build a whole chain of Black-owned schools all across this country that you can build and build them profitably. You can do it. You can invest in Black-owned schools just like you invest in a business, just like you invest in a .com, just like you invest in a share of stock. You can do that, and you can set it up in a way where it doesn't have to be charity. Part of the reason that your projects fall apart, and don't talk about Umar School. That school ain't never going to get built. We've been waiting on that school for a decade. Also, the other thing too, no disrespect to Umar, but the reality is that you cannot save a whole community with one damn school. We've been talking about one school for 10 years. I don't want to talk about one school. I want to talk about 1,000 schools. I want to talk about a chain of schools. I want to talk about mass production. See, what you don't understand, what some people don't get, and I probably sound mean, but maybe I'm just being mean because it's late at night and I'm just in a bad mood. But at the end of the day, one of the things we got to understand is that if you want to really move a nation, you have to be able to mass produce the things that you want to see implemented. You need to be able to mass produce it, and you must also do it in a way that is very systematic, that is cooperative, where you're not waiting for one big super Negro to declare himself to be the king of everything, where he's the center of attention. No, you need thousands of people working together. You need all your Black educators, all your Black accountants and teachers and scholars and thinkers coming to the table, egos out the door, leaving egos outside the door, and working on something that can get done, where everybody understands that the collective is more important than the individual. So one of the things about all this stuff that you see, is that a lot of times when you get caught up in these celebrities, my God, I sometimes I really get triggered when a celebrity calls me because some of them literally have spent their whole life smelling their own farts to the point where they literally have almost no ability to understand how to work with other people. I really am just not a fan of any of that. I'm not a fan of like the ignorance in hip hop. I'm not a fan of some of the chaos that we see being promoted, in terms of people. We put our clowns at the top of the pile, and then the whole community just sits there, or we end up going backward, because sometimes you're listening to clowns. You're not listening to real men and real women that are really trying to get things done. So ultimately, I would just say, to anybody out there, there's a way to fix all of this. You just kind of are probably listening to the wrong people. You're not listening to your thinkers and your scholars. There's so many educated people I know, Black folks that have been in school for many years, that have 30 years of experience doing all kinds of stuff. But those are not the people that get the attention. The people that get the attention are the people who entertain. If you are a rapper, if you are a comedian, if you are an athlete, that's what gets all the attention. And unfortunately, those individuals are not the ones typically, other than a few. I see Mickey Fax is in here. I don't include Mickey in that group. I like Mickey a lot. He's a very smart guy. And there are a few others that I just admire so much. Immortal Technique. I talked to him for many hours. He's a great guy. Who are a few others? D1 is a great guy. Akilani Honda. You've got some smart rappers out here. But here's the interesting thing about hip hop, since we're just talking about that. They put the smart rappers in the back, and they put the dumbasses in the front. The dummies are the ones that get the most promotion. Why? Well, because your record labels are not really run by Black people. They're run by Jewish people and white people. That's just a reality. So they don't care about your community. They would never promote nonsense that they promote. The nonsense they promote to you is not the kind of stuff they would ever promote to themselves or to their own children, because you're seen as a garbage disposal. You're seen almost like a trash can. You're seen as the garbage community, that they can just dump anything on you and you'll accept it and you'll just absorb it and say, thank you, boss. I appreciate it. Give me some more. And the next thing you know, you're mentally, spiritually, and physically dead, and you don't know why. And economically dead. Let me not forget that too. All right. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. If you want to educate your kids on economics and get them something nice for Christmas, We have some financial flashcards you can feel free to take a look at. We're very proud of them. We spent a lot of time putting them together. You can go to financialflashcards.com, or if you're watching on Instagram, you can hit the link in the bio. I guarantee you that when your child goes through these cards, they will have a financial literacy level that exceeds the average college-educated adult. Now, I mentioned to you guys earlier I was going to give you a stock that I like. So I'm only halfway through my list of the college majors people are most likely to regret. So what I'll do is go ahead and give you the stock that I like right now. I really like Google, actually the company's called Alphabet. I like Alphabet as a good long-term investment. Alphabet knows how to make money. Their digital sales are probably going to drop a little bit. Ad sales are going to drop, but I think long-term Google's a great investment. However, the key thing to understand here is this. Don't get caught up in one company. Never get caught up in one company or trying to pick 2 or 3 companies that are going to make you rich. Warren Buffett did a great job where he showed a list of the top companies in America, top 10 companies in America in 1989 and then 2019. And basically he said that the whole list was completely different. The whole list had totally changed. Some of those companies that were the top companies 30 years ago had completely disappeared or had completely fallen off. And companies that you've never heard of are now the top companies today. So what he's basically saying is that 30 years from now, the companies that are the top companies in America 30 years from now are probably going to be different from the companies that are the top 10 today. So that means that you can't predict the future. Alphabet is strong today, but Alphabet wasn't in existence 30 years ago. So Alphabet is strong today. It may not be strong 30 years from now. And the companies that will be the strongest are most likely companies you'll never hear about. So that's why index funds are a great thing to invest in, because you can get a piece of everything. All right. Let's see here. Okay, somebody's asking, are you supporting Dr. Umar's school? I gave $25 to the school. I'm not giving any more money. No disrespect. I just don't believe in it. To be honest with you, I don't believe it's going to happen. All right. So anyway, let me keep going. Next, the next thing on the list. So we mentioned journalism, sociology, liberal arts, general studies, communications, and education as the top 5 majors that people regret the most. Next is marketing, management, and research. That's interesting. That's very interesting to me because marketing is a really valuable skill. If you learn how to market well and you're running a business, marketing will accelerate your business. So marketing itself is not bad, but maybe they're saying marketing management and marketing research sort of speaks to almost like an employee-ish kind of language. Like I want to manage the marketing instead of actually just doing the marketing. So marketing management and research, if you just focus solely on marketing, the ability to sell a product or market a product or both, then that's actually a great skill to have for entrepreneurs. Black people need to mass produce entrepreneurs if we actually want to get our wealth to increase. HBCUs are broke, right? HBCUs have no money. If you add up the endowment of the 10 largest, most wealthy HBCUs in the country, their endowment is about 1/45th of Harvard's endowment. So Harvard University has an endowment, and let me just double check the amount. I'm trying to see what Harvard University's endowment is because it goes up every year. The Harvard University endowment is Harvard's endowment is $51 billion. $51 billion. Now, if I was to add up the endowments of HBCUs, endowments are basically like a big pile of money that you have to kind of operate and to exist in case of emergency, stuff like that. So let me show you all. This is so funny. I like to do this to make a point. So if you were to add up, look at the top HBCUs, the endowments that, okay, here we go. HBCUs top 20 or 2021 top 10 endowments. The top 10 is Howard with 795 million, Spelman at 530 million, Hampton at 379 million, Morehouse 278, Meharry College 186. I think these numbers are in thousands. Yeah, there we go. North Carolina A&T 157 million, Florida A&M 118 million. Now that's not terrible, right? That's not horribly bad. But if I were to add up all these endowments, I would probably get, I'm gonna guess about, let's say 1.5 billion, maybe $2 billion. So Harvard's endowment, I said it was 45 times greater than the top 10 endowments combined. Actually, it's more like 22 times greater. That's one school. So one white school, just one, not the other, several thousand. Just one white school has an endowment that is 22 times greater than the top 10 HBCUs all put together. If you take the largest endowment of any HBCU, which is Howard at 795 million, Harvard is about 50, maybe 60 times greater. So ultimately, a lot of the reason that I think these endowments are so low is because you're not producing enough people to actually be able to make the kind of donations necessary to really grow a company or a university's endowment. You're producing employees. So when you produce a lot of employees, when they make donations, they write checks for maybe like $400 or maybe $1,000 if they really are enthusiastic. But they can't do too much more than that because it would hurt them financially. Maybe you get somebody that steps along and gives 10,000, 20,000, maybe even 100,000. But when you have billionaires that came out of that school, who tend to be entrepreneurs, they tend to be venture focused individuals. They're not employees per se. Those individuals are the ones who can write checks for 5 million, 10 million, 80 million, 100 million. Right. So ultimately, HBCUs, if they don't ever embrace powernomics, they will never have any money. They will always be struggling. They will always be complaining about being underfunded because you're depending on, these other people to take care of you. And I don't think that really works very well. All right. So with that being said, here's some other majors that people tend to regret. The other college majors they regret the most are medical clinical assisting. That's surprising because I thought that would be one that people like because medical stuff. I mean, that's a field that's plenty of money there. Next is political science or government. After that is biology. And then number 10 on the list is English language and literature. So let me tell you a secret on how to kind of fix all of that. Here's the thing. Every Black student in this country that goes to college should be a major in Black wealth. I don't care what you study formally. Everybody should your major right now for you and your kids should be Black wealth. That's it. Black wealth. Because really what you're majoring in freedom, you're majoring in power, you're majoring in powernomics. What does that look like? Well, that means that they should understand the basics of how to own assets. So that means that they're making money, they're investing in things that they own, like real estate and shares of stock. It's very easy, not hard to do, very simple. The solutions are easy. It's just the implementation that's hard. The third thing is every Black child should know how to start their own business in case white people start tripping. So especially your boys, especially your Black boys. So many Black men get into corporate America and just things happen. You get hemmed up. They don't give you the job you deserve. They don't give you the promotion you deserve. You sleep with a colleague. Next thing you know, somebody done Me Too'd you because you ain't supposed to be sleeping with people you work with. Whatever. I don't know. Just so many things happen. And it leads to a lot of resentment, a lot of bitterness, a lot of unhappiness, a lot of mental health problems. That's why my wife and I put together the financial therapy department in the Black Business School. We have a Black financial therapy department. We're really doing this because she's a therapist. And in our research, we're finding that there's a lot of Black mental health issues, a lot of Black trauma that is connected to economics. There's a ton of trauma you experience, not just from growing up poor or having your mama get a credit card in your name when you were 5 years old, to your cousin stealing your money, never paying you back, to watching your other sibling get shot or in a dope deal because he's out here hustling, trying to get money because he doesn't know how to actually get money legally, up to all kinds of other things that happen all along the way. And a big part of the financial trauma that Black people experience, especially Black men, and women have their own type of trauma, is just, doing everything the right way, right? Going to school, studying hard, working your butt off, and then having things just not work out. Like they still get rid of you or put pressure on you or make you feel unwelcome. And because it's culture. It's a lot of it's very cultural. When I was at Syracuse University, they liked me on paper because I was the only Black man on the planet to get a PhD in finance during the year I graduated. So in their minds, I was a great asset. It was like, wow, this guy is amazing. We don't have any Black people here on the faculty. We get this Black guy. He's been trained by really good people, blah, 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 blah. But culturally, I did not fit. Those are not my people. They didn't understand me. I didn't understand them. So it created a lot of friction, and so a lot of times when your kids get stuck in these corporate environments, with these white people that put raisin in a potato salad and stuff like that, and and have boring conversations and wine and cheese parties and whatever else they do, I don't know. It creates like a type of unhappiness that's similar to what he experienced when he was in the public school system. Same thing.
So I don't personally believe that most black people do well in environments that are run and controlled by white people. I'm not saying that white people are bad or all the time. I don't think that they're trying to always be malicious. I think they're just trying to be themselves. I really do. I think that they're just most of them. I know white people. Like I have a lot of white friends, and they and they're not bad people, but they're just who they are. And so when they're in a space that they control, see, the key issue is not so much white black, it's really ownership and control. When you're in a space that you control, you get to shape the culture of that space. So the same way, the same discomfort you might feel when you go work for a big company run by white folks or a big white university is the discomfort they would feel if they came to your family barbecue and they were kicking it with you and your relatives. You're not gonna try to make them feel uncomfortable, but they just might feel uncomfortable because they just don't understand everything. They don't get the jokes. They don't want to do the electric slide. They don't understand why you and cousin Pookie start laughing every time y'all talk about something that happened in the summer of 2008. They don't get any of that, right? So that's pretty much what you're dealing with. You're really trying to survive and live in a space that was not built for you. And somebody says Harvard is 37% white, 21% Asian, 12% international. Yeah, but it's still pretty much a space run by white people. So, I'm sure John Harvard, the founder of Harvard, I doubt he was a black man. So I don't consider Harvard University to be one of our institutions. But to your point, they are diverse in their own way, and that's another interesting thing that happens at universities is they'll really tout their diversity numbers, but they really aren't that much in favor of African Americans, particularly those who come from a specific culture. Now, maybe there's room now. I'm finding like if you're black and you're like, straight liberal, like vote for Joe Biden, or being black is the same as being gay, or, just all this other stuff like this, cross sectionality and all this other stuff, then yeah, there's a space for you because you've been given sort of this victim box that you can put yourself in, and then you get opportunities that come along with that. However, there are other black people who don't buy into that. There are black people, for example, who question integration and whether or not integration was actually good for black people economically. There are black people who study powernomics who don't want to just get a job working for white folks. These are black people that actually want to own assets and own property. These are black people that don't necessarily need you to tell them that Black Lives Matter. These are black people that want their families to be stronger. These are black people that have their own values that haven't been sanctioned by Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. There's not much room for those people because at that point, you're really talking about people that are truly trying to be empowered, more of a nationalist kind of mindset. So what I would say is in response to this list that I just shared with you guys, and I hope you'll share it with your kids, especially if they're going to go to college or your grandkids, is it's not so much about the major you pick. I'm not saying that you're a sucker if you pick any of those majors that I mentioned that people regret. I'm saying that college really needs a supplement, especially if you're black. The biggest mistake I've seen from college students over the years is when they go to college and they think that because they went to a campus and gave some university $100,000 and sat around and went to a few classes and a couple step shows, that this piece of paper they get is going to make their dreams come true, that they're going to automatically be employable, that they're automatically going to be in a better economic situation, that their lives will improve as a result. That is not true. You can go to college, spend all your family wealth, be in so much debt that you're going to die in debt, and still not be any more competitive in the job market than you would have been had you gone to trade school. There are people that go to trade school who have an easier time making money than some college graduates. But that doesn't mean college is bad. It just means that you have to have a skill. If you want somebody to hire you, you've got to have a skill. Employers, I'm an employer, I hire people. I don't care. I don't even ask my team members. If you quiz me on every person on my team and said, did that person go to college? Half the time I would get it wrong. I don't even know if they went to college or not. I just know they know how to do their job. Do you understand? So you got to have a skill. Skills are mandatory. College is optional, but the skill is mandatory. And the other thing too is I think for black folks, we have to have our own conversation as it pertains to what it means to be educated, what it means to be knowledgeable, what it means to have the things that you need. Stop letting white people tell you what your best choice is supposed to be. I hope you've learned by now that other people don't really have your best interest at heart. They don't care about you like that. They have their own best interest at heart. That's what they have. They're not against your agenda. They're just in favor of their own agenda. So ultimately, a lot of us are just getting advice from the wrong people. I personally think if I was having kids right now, number one, I would try my best to homeschool my kids or hire a tutor or find some other people in the community and get them together and just pay some teachers to educate our kids so they get love instead of the mistreatment they get in the public school system. The public school system would be like a last resort. It wouldn't be the first option. Number two, I would make sure my kids understood everything they need to know to be successful at the age of 30 in the life of a Black man. You're not going to necessarily at 30 years old have to know the Pythagorean theorem. You're not going to have to know the periodic table. You're not going to have Edgar Allan Poe poems memorized. So why would that be the first thing you're learning in school when really the things you need to know when you're a 30-year-old Black man are how to raise a family, how to get along with your wife, and maintain your family relationship so you don't lose all your wealth in a divorce court. How do you go and make money? Because making money solves a lot of problems. And it's fascinating to me that so many of our kids graduate from school and don't know anything about how to make money. But money is the most important thing on their mind. Money is the number one thing on your mind. That's literally the number one stressor that you have in your life, and you don't know nothing about it. Why in the hell do you think you could be successful when the number one thing that you think about the most, the thing that keeps you up at night, the thing that worries you the most is the thing you know the least about? How in the world do you think that that's going to lead to success? Who told you that makes sense? What? I mean, seriously, do you get what I'm saying? I need us to pause on that moment. I think about how backward they screwed our heads on. Literally, the one thing that matters the most to us, that's like most critical to our survival, ends up being one of the things that we learn about the least. That's not the mindset of an adult. That's the mindset of a child. That's the mindset of a child. You're literally going through life. They got us going through life like little children. Like I'm not going to worry about what's important. I'm going to let somebody else take care of what's important. I'm not thinking about where my next meal is coming from. They got that covered for me. And then when the next meal doesn't show up, you're like, dang, why didn't y'all feed me? Well, because you're grown. You're supposed to feed yourself. You're supposed to go get what you need yourself. So I just think in general, when you talk about educating a Black child, I think it's something that's very clear. It's very specific. I don't believe we need anybody's help to do that. If you guys want to learn from me, of course you can watch this podcast, but also on Wednesday nights we do training. We're reading Powernomics, and I'm reading the book word for word out loud and analyzing every sentence of it so you can understand what every part of it means. And it's totally free. It's one of the things we do in the Black Business School. And I think that we can win. I think we can have anything we want. I think we just got to stop listening to other people and start listening to ourselves. So that's my thought for tonight. I'm going to go spend time with my wife. She's upstairs waiting for me. So it was good talking to you guys, and I hope you have a good night. And speaking of my wife, our Love and Money Masterclass starts on December 4th. So if you're interested in the intersection between love and money, that's going to be kind of the first offering from our Black Financial Therapy Department that we put together in the Black Business School. So if you'd like to join us, just go to boycewatkins.com and you can take a look. The link is right there. Or you can hit the link in the bio if you're on Instagram. And also, I want to give another shout out to Dr. Q's Fresh Breath Club, who's sponsoring this conversation. And so that's a good Black-owned business with a good brother who has some great oral hygiene products that I hope you'll take a look at. The URL's on screen, drqsfbc.com, drqsfbc.com. All right, guys, have a good night. God bless you. Thank you for listening. And I'll check back in with you real soon. Take care now. Peace.